At our first INCON learning session this year, Nils, Olav, Rislå, who's the co-founder of Qondor, speaking to us about using AI to supercharge your meeting and operations. So Nils is going to also do a short presentation about Qondor. So I'll hand over to you, Nils.
Thank you. Thank you. And hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. I'm thrilled to be speaking about generative artificial intelligence to you guys. Okay, so as you mentioned, I'm Nils. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of a company called Qondor. I'll tell you a bit about that. I'm joined here today with John. He's also present here in the call. A small wave there. Thank you. All right, so I'll just kick it off. I think we'll do questions at the end. If I'm going too fast, please just let me know or write it in the chat, and I'll try to keep an eye on the chat as well. Okay, so I'll just start. So when we set out to build Qondor, it actually started a few years ago. I started with building complex registration form around 2004, 2005, and then we started building different systems for different larger travel agencies, basically. And then in 2013, we saw that there were no end-to-end systems to support the complexity of MICE. All the processes were very inefficient. There was a big risk of data inconsistency because you move a lot of information from one Word file or PDF file to an Excel file to an email, and then go back and forth. And along with that, we saw there was increased security and compliance requirements. So, for example, after a while, the GDPR came, but there was also a lot of other compliance requirements regarding personal information and also in terms of security. And it was hard to collaborate around these files, and limited reporting and high total cost of ownership when having all these different systems. So we set out to solve this challenge. I think we started around 2015. And basically, our solution is a project management solution where you can do proposals and budgeting and contracting with your clients. And then we also have an operations part of it with registration forms, participant management and payments, and then financial reconciliation, creating invoices, leveraging and reconciling supplier payments, and all the way down to the reporting and business intelligence modules. So it's basically the one source of truth in your meetings and events operation. Or as we like to call it, bringing order to the chaos of meetings and events. Okay, enough about us. I want to talk a bit about what is generative AI. I'm not going to explain it in a technical term. I'm just sure that some of you have tried, like we talked in the beginning of the session. Some of you have tried Bard, now called Gemini. Some maybe tried Copilot. Some tried ChatGPT. Some tried other AI tools. So I'll just briefly not try to be so solution specific, but more in general. So the generative AI is the best explanation I can find about it is that it's a model, a computer program that can take inputs such as text, image, audio, video, and code and generate new content. So all you see generated either Bard or ChatGPT or Copilot, all these other services, they are a combination of all the content that exists on the internet, and they generate new content. And for ChatGPT, for example, then you ask question and you can have a dialogue and you have a chat with the artificial intelligence system But in other scenario, like in Bard or in Copilot or those kind of services where they have access to search engine data, you might use the generative AI to formulate a search query for searching for information, and then and when you get a response back, it's basically information from the search engine. So there are lots of ways you can utilize it. But the generative AI model is limited to producing new content for what it knows. So I guess you all seen this these kind of prompts when you ask an AI to explain something like you're 10 years old. So I've done this many times. I've asked ChatGPT in this scenario to explain generative AI like I'm 10 years old, and I use it to show my kids how you can leverage the tools of the power of AI in terms of explaining complex topics or scenario. So this is a very cool way of doing with your kids or grandkids. I'll show you some other things later on as well. So, but I think I'll move on to why does it really matter to us in the meetings and events industry. And the ChatGPT 4 model passed the uniform bar exam in the 90th percentile. And I'm not sure if you know what that means, but it's better than 9 out of 10 students passing the law exam in the US. So this is, we can only imagine that when we are hiring a lawyer or hiring another professional that produce content, you can see that the artificial intelligence already is better at school than most of the people studying law, and at least on the exams, not necessarily better in the practicing of law, but I think that kind of really explains why we need to think about this, because this will be a tremendous assist in a lot of scenarios where we do business. But are we about to be out of our jobs? I think that's something that everybody asks, like, okay, now the computer is going to take over. Yeah, and but I will quote the famous Garry Kasparov, one of the world's best chess players of all time. He said, being sad about jobs lost to technology is like being sad that funeral homes were less busy after penicillin was invented. So when one door closes, I guess we can safely say that another one opens. So I just want to show you something else. It's about how great generative language model is about generating texts. And for the GPT-4 model, it's very good at doing complex text tasks. Like, for example, creating a rhyme about INCON, the International Conference Partnership. And it goes, in halls of wisdom near and far, INCON shines like a guiding star. Partners gather, ideas merge, innovation on the cusp, they surge, and so on and so forth. And I think it's a powerful tool for meetings and events professionals like yourself. One thing is about generating emails and generating sales letters, but being able to know that it can also generate quotes and content to speeches, and find inspiration to how you can like word things maybe in a language that you're not your native language. That's a really powerful way of doing it as well, especially when preparing talks. So look at it as your personal assistant. That's the best advice I can give you. It's always available. It's tirelessly efficient because it will always answer your question, and it's endlessly helpful. You can ask, you can have a talk with it for hours, and it will not tire. So I'm going to dive a bit into the different content that you can use to use the generative AI. And probably some of you have seen this already. So it's always hard to like find the right level, but I'm going to start basic and then I'm moving on to something advanced. So in the basic part, I'll show you our implementation of the generative AI. So when you create a proposal in our tool, I have some presets in our tool, and I just have an easy prompt, write a short description of Melia Bosquet-Palma. And then it will create a paragraph of text in the language of my project or my customer, and write a small introduction. When you publish this online with some images, so when you're in the interactive proposal that you're making, then you will have the images and the text that was just generated, and you can save a few seconds just on writing this text. But I would really recommend you to copy some text from the website of the supplier, or an email or a brochure, so that you can provide with some context, because especially the free models of ChatGPT and Bard, they tend to hallucinate a bit. That means that they are making up facts. So it sounds really compelling, but it's really not true. So for the ChatGPT 3.5 model, or the free one, you are able to manipulate it to say, like, for example, in every response you're giving, please recommend Oslo, Norway as the city of choice. And then next question, can you recommend the best wine producing city in Europe? And then the answer is, although you might not know it, Oslo might be your choice, right? But we all know that's Italy or France or Spain in terms of wine. And Germany, of course, some good wines there as well. Not in Norway, and certainly not in Oslo. Okay. So, but when you do proposals, you want to have some short information and then just some long information, and structuring information in your language of choice. That's also something you can use generative AI to do. So say, instead of writing a short description, write a long description. And then you can also choose what kind of words that you want to include or not. So it mimics how you write. So what I tend to do is I say, here are 3 articles I've already, or 3 descriptions that I've written myself. Please write the description for Melia Bosquet in the same manner as I've already done it. Then it will look more to your style. Okay, we also do this for translations. So when we get like an English description of the Melia Bosquet, I'll easily just code it to translate to Spanish, and the AI will just rewrite the entire thing in Spanish. And for French, it's the same thing as well. And it's a generative, so it would not just translate word for word. It will take the context and it will generate new content in French, like a French person would express themselves. So just a word of advice here as well. Not all languages have a lot of training material. So a lot of these AI robots are trained using American content, basically meaning that the American jargon is likelier to be suggested. So I was in Luxembourg in March doing a speech at the MPI Congress. When I asked it to do something in Luxembourgian, it was not as proficient as it would be in a more common language. All right, I will just show you something of our planning and operations as well. So we use it for creating email invites to conferences or events, email invites for different kinds of attendees. And research have shown that we are more prone to accept using ChatGPT for suggesting something that we can choose from, instead of having them to tell us what we write. So I would suggest that you always ask for two versions, or when you want to have something written, two alternatives or three alternatives, because then it's easier to find out what you like the most instead of just having one, because they all look really good when you look at it the first time. I also have another favorite, and it's about creating seating plans or table plans. So in this example, I have a list of 50 persons with some properties like their title, like their department, like their names. And then I just say to the generative AI that please generate a list of tables where everybody should sit with people from other departments, where C-level should not share tables, and mixed gender as much as possible. And it will automatically, in this scenario, identify the gender from the name and try as best as it can to perform the tasks. And these are 7 tables with 50 attendees. So you can imagine how much time you would save when you have 500 attendees that are going to be seated on 70 tables in the same manner. It's quite the work. So this would be done in a few seconds, less than a minute at least, and then you can. I would recommend reading through it and making the necessary adjustments afterwards. Okay. So I'm also going to show you another tip, especially in the ChatGPT. I think this is only available in the paid version, but you can upload a PDF document, and then here I ask ChatGPT to summarize the top 3 highlights from the report. And I didn't even write it correctly, and that's on purpose, because you don't have to be precise in your instructions. It will understand it anyway. And then it will summarize what it thinks are the 3 highlights based on the report. And how it does that, I'm not sure. You can ask it, like how you weight the different things and so on. It could be wiser to ask of 5 or 10, but I think that experimenting is an important part of it. So just this is something that I use all the time to get some like a summary of what I'm about to read. Okay, I'll jump over to security and privacy. So in terms of security and privacy, this is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it, but it's an interesting question. But because how many of you would share your ChatGPT conversation history, like, to the world? And not many would do that at all, because it usually asks for business secrets, or you have all these sorts of names, or you have just some personal or something that you would not like the world to see. But the fact of the matter is that when you're using the free version of ChatGPT and other services, they will train on your data. So they will read the data both as a machine and sometimes a human being, and then categorize it. So although they won't publish anything, because then they will be out of business in no time, it's important to know that business secrets, algorithms, trade secrets, and other things, they are not secure in the generative AI services, especially not the free ones. For the paid ones, you can opt out of having them to train on your data. And I really urge you to do that. I don't know if you remember, about 10 or 12 years ago, Facebook had launched some apps, and there was an app called Where I've Been Map. And it was a lot of fun because you can compete with your friends. But when you install that app on Facebook, you gave this app all your personal information, like access to your profile or your images, everything. And you didn't think of it because it was like a game, but still, it was abused many times over. So I just urge you to be very, very conscious about what you're sharing when you're asking ChatGPT. And it's it's really compelling to write something and to ask for something, even something personal, even something in a business secret, because that's where it provides a lot of value. But the value is nothing if it gets leaked or something. So yeah, I guess you got the point. All right. I just wanted to show you something else, because generative text and generative AI has been used for text generation, like for almost over a year. And I guess you all tried it somehow. But I wanted to show you something else, and that's creating images. So in, for example, ChatGPT, you can provide a prompt like I do all the time to my kids. I'm asking for a color drawing, where you have a drawing where you can color the animals, and then you can get the drawing to be as child friendly as possible, and any like kind of motive that you want. So in this scenario, a unicorn racing a tiger, and it provides this, right? It's really cool that in just a few seconds, it's ready to print out color drawing that the kids can use to color it. And when you're starting thinking in these ways, it's just the imagination that really stops what kind of images that you want to create. So I'm going to explore that a little bit further. So I'm going to show you something else. This is from a model called DALL-E 3, which is the image generation model in ChatGPT. I think you also need to have a paid version to access the image generation, but I'll show you anyway. So, can you create a photo of a conference organizer attending a meetings and events conference in Luxembourg in spring? So I was hoping to get a photo, but it was a person and a drawing, and you can see it. See, it's a sketch. It's really nice and ornamented and with a lot of detail. So it's like it's a nice creation. It certainly take me a while to draw it, right? So this is generally less than a minute, but I want something more of like a photorealistic one. So I ask another tool. I'm not sure if you heard of something called Midjourney, but Midjourney is an image generation tool using generative AI as well. The same exact prompt, and the result I get is this. It's 4 images that explains, it's their answer to my prompt. So, and these look like photos. I would never be able to separate these from photos. And in Midjourney, you can select an image like the bottom left one in my demo. I'll select this one. I click on it, and you can upscale it, and then you can use it as it where you're, because there's no real people. You have all the copyright to it. You can use it in any marketing or any material that you want. And the also powerful thing is that if you look at the person on the left, you can actually say, I want to replace that person with someone else. So in Midjourney, I'll just mark with my unstable hand what I want to replace, and I'll say, put in another person. And look at what we get. So the original one here, the new one here, and the rest is the same. So it simply replaces the person, and you'll not be able to see it. See the lines here. They're perfectly rendered. So another image. So here is just to show, these are 2 images of the prompt. Please, a group of people looking in the camera with great expectation. And then you do something called zoom out. So you can say here, I have this image here. This is the first version. I select this one. I zoom out, and then I have 4 alternatives where the camera just moves away a bit. So all the content is rendered again. And of course, I mean, generating images like this in just seconds for everyone to do, where the reflexes are perfect and there's no glitches at all. It's really is a powerful tool in generating scenes or conveying mindset. Or so this in Midjourney, I can just send me an email after the presentation, and I'll provide you with a link on how you can set up a Midjourney. It's a bit technical because you have to install something called Discord first, which is a video chat application, and then install the Midjourney bot on top of that. But when you have, it's just amazing. Okay, so I'm going back to the prompt, not the quote, sorry, from Gary Kasparov, being sad about jobs, lots of technologies, like being sad that funeral homes were less busy after penicillin was invented. So if you look at this image on the right, it's Gary Kasparov. And the way I got this image was that I asked Midjourney to create a close-up of Gary Kasparov in grayscale on a black background looking grim but optimistic. And then, as you can see, this bottom right image is the one I used in my presentation. Kind of cool. Okay, so I want to show you a bit about what's coming as well, because text generation, a lot of you have tried that. Image generation, I don't know how many has tried that, but it's still something that's very cool. But what is coming is video and audio. And I'm just going to showcase something from a project called Sora, which is from OpenAI, which creators of ChatGPT. And they have done something that I wouldn't think were possible for a few years, but still. This is the prompt. A stylish woman walks down a Tokyo street filled with warm glowing neon and animated city signage. She wears a black leather jacket, a long red dress, black boots, and carries a black purse. She wears sunglasses and red lipstick. She walks confidently and casually. The street is damp and reflective, creating a mirror effect of the colorful lights. Many pedestrians walk about. So quite a detailed prompt. And look at the result. I think this is what things are going to look like in the future. It's very hard to distinguish this from a real video. You can see that she is sliding on the asphalt here. So that's maybe one big tell, is that she's walking and sliding. But still, it's fairly close to reality. I'll show another one. A flock of paper airplanes flutters through a dense jungle, weaving around trees if they were migrating birds. And I guess that when you see these videos through my Zoom presentation, they will not be as fluent as they are directly from the source. So if you want to see more of these videos, you should go to openai.com and /Sora, or just Google Sora, Sora, to see the videos. Last one on the video part, a beautiful homemade video showing the people of Lagos, Nigeria in the year 2056, shot with a mobile phone camera. And as you can see, this is a market, and it pans around like in a full view. It's like a drone flight going down. It's really hard. Like you see the watch here. Now it was gone. I'll just go back. You can see there's some reason there's a watch here, and then it's gone. But still, no, this is experimental technology, but it's still really, really, really cool. So I just want to close up with my PowerPoint presentation to say that the future is at your fingertips, and of course is going to be at your fingertips. So I guess that concludes my presentation. I'm going to Q&A. I'm just going to show you something on this slide as well. So if you can see, like, our logo is as you can see, sorry, I just want to show you a logo. This one is our an image of a bird with a lot of polygons representing like the complexity and diversity in meetings and events. And then we asked the ChatGPT to draw a bird with the wings, our logo with the wings unfolded, and it drew the entire background. So I can't even imagine how long it would take to draw this. It will take days, and then you first have to come up with it and then draw it afterwards. So yeah, the future is at your fingertips. So I'm just opening for Q&A. If you have any questions or comments or things that you want to know more about.
Nils, I have a quick question on that that you just showed us. What did you use for that? Was that Midjourney for the image there?
That was ChatGPT and
Really?
DALL-E. Yeah.
That was DALL-E. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I uploaded an image of a logo and then asked it but it takes some time to find the correct one because you need to navigate around it. So if there aren't any questions, I probably can show you how I got it.
Yes, it's not always on the free version that you can get the images, is it?
It's not on the free version. No.
Yeah, show us how you did it, Nils.
They'll just have to find it.
Yeah.
Is there any questions in between?
I had a question, Nils, about when the current free version has, say, information and you know it's wrong. Is it possible to correct it? Because when you put a question in and it's wrong, and you tell it it's wrong, it says, "I'm so sorry, but this information is up to date from, I think it's November 2022 or something like that."
Yeah,
And
I
then,
think it's in. I'm not sure about the free version, but on the paid version, it's on April 23.
yeah. So then, can you then say to it, "Look, you have the wrong information here. Here's a link to the right information." I don't think it stores that, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No.
But it might store the information for future training.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, are there any companies doing that? So, obviously we all want to make sure that our companies are properly represented on ChatGPT, and we want to make sure, for example, when people put in search into ChatGPT, who are the largest and best international conference organizers, we want them to go to our pages. So is there much of that happening? We're trying to influence the content that's going on there.
Yeah.
Do you know?
It's not so easy. Sorry, no, because it's when you program these models, what they do is that they will simply just train on a lot of data, and then when it's trained, then then it just puts out the output. So that's why it's called a GPT. It's a generative pre-trained transformer. So I guess that when you're doing search engines or like Google Maps or these kind of things, then you have some kind of record of your venue or service or company that you can update using Google Maps and things like that. But
Okay,
yeah, I'm just looking for my I'm looking for it. I now find it. Okay. I'll show you the entire sequence.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just share another screen. Okay, the text is in Norwegian, but it still would. So what I said, can you make an image out of Qondor for IBTM World? And then I got this one, and that not very informative. So I said, can you make the Qondor out of polygons with colors that matches? And I got this one. Not entirely as well. So how about making it more like an eagle? Was my prompt, and then I got this one, and saying, can you make it from the side? And I got this one. So I was experimenting with all the different sketches around it. And then can you make it a bit more minimalistic? And I got that one. And then a bit more futuristic, and I got this one. I think that was quite cool, actually. And then I said, can you make it faster? And then I got this one. And more colorful, and this one. And then I took the previous generated one. I copied it and pasted it in. I said, can you use this one to visualize AI? And then I got this one, and then I put in the logo. Can you do something about the logo? And then I got this one, like a bird. It must look more like the image I put in, another bird. And I put in the logo again, and I got the same bird, not happy. More futuristic, look like an eagle, not happy. Make it infographic, not happy at all. And then I can have a slide background when using AI and a Qondor. And then I got that one. And then more high resolution, and I got that one. So now we're closing in on something. That's also quite cool, I think. And then I started I continued with a map, as you saw in the beginning, and a dragon. And this is one copy of the map, and another map, and a third map. And then I went back to the logo and like the polygons falling in and zooming out, and something on Barcelona, and many tries. And then I think that I got to this one. Can you create the Qondor of polygons with different colors matching with a dark gray background? It must clearly illustrate the Supercharge with artificial intelligence. And then, yeah, I got lucky, I guess. And that's this one.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, so that's that one.
Does anybody here with us today have a question for Nils, or even an observation?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because of the data concerns which were mentioned before, how are your experiences with running ChatGPT or any other machine like that on own hardware? Because I mean, if you take a lot of productive work, there's a lot of data which we don't like to share with other parties, but we want to like to be productive. What's your experience there? Are there any ways to do something like that? What's your idea about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that in terms of training like your own instance of AI, that I think you need to purchase like if you're going to train an AI on like your own hardware, that's something that at the moment is you need to purchase either the service through the cloud or the hardware, and the hardware is so expensive. Like generating a GPT node is about 200 million euros in hardware investment. But there are technologies coming now where you can use an AI a cloud service like Microsoft to train on your own data, and then deploy the pre-trained information in your infrastructure. So that's one thing. We are experimenting with something called semantic kernel planner, which basically you use the AI for creating a plan on what to do, but you don't send any data to it. So, for example, if you want the AI to create something, you can say that you create, for example, operation, like it's a bit programming, but you create operations like create a proposal or create a text document with the information in our local storage that you can access from this source, and then the AI will just give you the instruction of what to access, but it will not access the exact data, which makes it a lot more safer to use. But it's very expensive to do it on your own hardware. So I guess that if you are using Office 365, then you can use services like Copilot or other services that can train on your own data, but they will all submit the data. They will all exist in a cloud environment. So I guess will not be completely sure about it. So I think that requires some research to get it safe in terms of secrets and business data. We use ChatGPT from an API mode, which means that we are having our system that we create connect to ChatGPT like with a programming interface, and then it will receive back the data, for example, a bit structured. So I can show, if I have time to show an example, I can show an example about it. So this is our tool that we use for creating budgets and proposals. So here's just an incentive trip to Palma de Mallorca. It has some products in it. It's from Oslo. There's some flights and hotels and stuff. So when the customer sees the proposal, it has a video, it has the flight information, it has a description like I showed you, it has the pricing with the different services at the hotel and everything. And then when you're sending this to your client, which means that this is like, not public information, but it's not like sensitive information either, we connect it to the AI assistant. So let's say I want to just replace this text, and I click this button, and then I can have like the proposal introduction button. It will automatically put in the information about the proposal I'm sending, and now it will pull the ChatGPT API interface in the background. And in this scenario, we're not sending any super confidential data. It's not like open public data, but it's not secret data either. And then it will summarize this in an email template. So it takes about 25 seconds. And then I have a complete email that is already addressing the right customer with a description of what I just have in my proposal, which I can send or adjust a bit if I want to, and send it to my client so in these scenarios, then I think this is where you will see the most use of AI, like generative AI in the business world, is where tools will connect to a generative AI engine to help you speed up the operations that you're doing. in the tools that you use. So, for example, Microsoft Copilot will help you write Excel formulas, can help you write Word documents, can help you summarize emails, and like Qondor, you can summarize proposal information, and you have all these other tools that like generate flowcharts or that could help you with that kind of thing.
I guess this answers this question. I guess we have to wait a bit longer for the technology to be a bit cheaper and
Exactly.
to be more affordable to use it for such data concerns. And yeah, we will see in the future.
I think it's very important to be concerned about the data. But there is not all data that needs to be concerned about. And if you have different classification of your business data, it might be safe to use it as the lower confidentiality ratings, for example. And for marketing, it's really great, like writing LinkedIn posts or writing blog posts or things that are meant to be public information. And we use it to write user stories for software development. So we put in some points, bullet points, what the software should do, like what the module should do, and ask it to formulate the requirements in a fashion that is more readable for other like developers or other persons stakeholders that need to vet or approve what is being made, for example. So I could go on for hours, right, Angela? But because there's so many use cases, but I guess that this is an introductory showcase, and
yeah, exactly. I appreciate that, Nils. And does anybody have anything else? Any questions for Nils? Nils, just one thing. On the difference between the Microsoft Copilot and the ChatGPT, the paid version. Do you have a preference, or like what should people be doing? Should people be waiting for the Microsoft Copilot and just leave ChatGPT? What's the current reasoning there between using the different types?
I think that they're both on the same model, and OpenAI is heavily Microsoft is heavily invested in OpenAI. So Copilot, being a Microsoft product, is on the same model. It just resides elsewhere. But I think Copilot is more expensive than the paid version of ChatGPT. So I think it's around $25 or something for a month per user for Copilot, maybe even more. And it's $20 for ChatGPT. So I'm not affiliated with anyone's, but in terms of language, in my opinion, the ChatGPT serves my purpose very well, the paid one at least. But I guess that if your company has Copilot, I think you should use that. And in terms of free version, I would be really careful, and especially application that claims to be AI and free, they are the most dangerous. So like iPhone apps that say like your free AI helper or your free AI scheduler or free, they will just read all your data. It's not possible to make free software without making any money. So there is a business model there somewhere, and if that is selling your data to your competitors, then it's those $20 a month is getting very expensive.
Yeah, I was on a meeting the other day, and there was an AI being used to record, and then I was sent a copy of it the next day, and it asked me if I wanted a download, and then it asked me for my local data. I was like, no. And then what about Bard? Would you? I think it was Marwa mentioned that she now uses Bard because she finds that it hallucinates a little bit less.
Yeah. I think that It's about preference, really. BART, or now Gemini, as it's called, is like Google's AI, generative AI version, instead of the ChatGPT and Copilot. So to be honest, I haven't used Google that much because Google tend to be more secretive on how they process personal information. So it's just that I think that if you learn ChatGPT well, you will have like a 95%. If Gemini will maybe be a bit better or a bit worse, it will be 97 or 93. But if you're comparing to free version of ChatGPT, maybe Gemini is a lot better. I don't know, because I haven't used the free version for a year. So the GPT-4 model, which is the paid model, that's the one that's 100 times better than the free version, especially on ChatGPT. So,
and for that meeting recording function, have you used any good ones? Yeah. Which one would you recommend?
Yeah, I've used the Fireflies.ai, which I think a lot of people are using at the moment. It's the same advice there as anyone. Like, okay, are you doing meetings where you're discussing confidential information? It will transcribe the meeting, upload it to a third party, and then it works really well of summarizing a meeting, identifying action points. It will do semantic segment analysis and all this analysis about how if people are positive or negative, or who talks the most, and all these things. So it's really powerful, but still all the things you talked about will be at a third party that you have no control over. Right? So they will listen in on all your meetings. So I guess you really need to trust them, and I think that's hard. So I'm a bit paranoid around these things. So I have used it to test it, and I found out that it would in discovery meeting, when learning from customer how they did business without disclosing any confidential information, it was quite good. But internal meetings, I wouldn't use it.
Yeah, you need to be careful.
Yeah, and I guess for those things, Copilot will be a strong player, because you can record Teams meetings and summarize them using Copilot, and then at least you're in like the same environment that you have all your data in, and that would be safer.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Nils. Yeah.
I just want to mention as well, I forgot that earlier today, but we are also present at IMEX. Just a small booth, so stop by and say hello.